Morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. We're like matching. Look at this. It actually looks,
Well, we texted each other about
we do. We
this
communicate.
morning.
Yeah, people think we don't, but
What
we
were you wearing?
communicate. He's Jonathan, by the way, and I'm Andy. I was thinking, I was feeling a little tired. Do you know the clocks go ahead next week?
Do they?
Yeah, we lose an hour next. My mom told me. I didn't even know.
The invention of the cell phone made that significantly less important than it used to be.
But everything, your clock on your TV and your stove. Well, my stove I actually have to reset.
Yeah,
It's not that smart. Neither am I. No, it's a little early. I like it when they go forward. I don't like losing the hour, but I like it staying later, longer. I don't really care what goes on in the early morning when
I know you're
no
a night
sane
owl.
person is awake, unless you work at the racetrack. Anyway, it is March 1st, and we got some races to talk about. Let's talk a little quickly about yesterday. Did you have any thoughts on the Fountain of Youth?
We talked about this also off air. I try to not get too enthusiastic intentionally, because in the past I've fallen in love with a mile and a 16th winner, and I felt married to the horse in the Derby, and I've lost. Right. I just gather information. It's the next round where I get strong opinions. I thought Commandment was good. I thought Iron Honor was good. I'm not cutting in line to bet either one of them the Derby yet.
Yeah, I thought the Chief Wallaby was very good for. I do think that the Fountain of Youth was the strongest prep we've had so far. I got a 101 buyer. It's very hard because it's the only two-turn race, but I was just trying to extrapolate things, and their mile fraction was only a second slower than Knightsbridge. Who's obviously very good. And so I thought that was a pretty strong race by those horses. And even the third horse, I don't know that he's going to be a distance horse, but he's a good horse, that horse who ran third. I think Bravaro showed that he's a pretender on the trail. And I wouldn't give up on Napoleon Solo as a horse, but if he's going to win going long, he's going to be controlling on the front end in a fairly moderate pace. He did break a little slow yesterday, but he was bad.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Commandment obviously deserves some credit out of there, but Chief Wallaby as well, right? Like he is one that I think it felt like a little too much too soon.
I thought it was too.
So for him to run that well based on that, you'd like to think he'll probably take another step forward.
I agree, and I think something I also think about this preps is they're better for eliminating horses. And I think a horse like Bravaro, if you were a fan, I'm not saying I thought he was or you thought he was. I think Napoleon Solo had a lot of fans. A lot of people on Twitter had told me they liked him. It's very hard to. I never thought he was a legit Triple Crown threat. I think after yesterday, he's obviously not.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens going forward. Anyway, we've got 8 to talk about. You can head over to Naira Bets. You know the drill. Match 200. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposit. Play through Naira Bet. Any track, anywhere, anytime. Try to figure the next one out. If you bet at least $10 in the late pick 4, and you have 3 out of 4, you don't hit, you have 3 out of 4. Now, I have a question about this, which I think needs to be resolved. As you understand, if you're putting in a pick 4 ticket for over $10 and you hit it, you're also going to have a lot of tickets that have 3 out of 4. So are you getting money back on that, or you're just getting money back if you don't win? Anyway.
I think C, Site for Details, probably answers that question somewhere in small print.
Yes. The asterisk is usually the place to go. We've got 10 times points if you get loyalty points at Oaklawn. Opt in for that. It's Rebel Day there, obviously. I don't know about you. I think the morning line is insane. I think Baffert's got to be favored in there, don't you?
I mean, the silver-haired guy jumps off the van there. They're always going to be
that horse going to the lead and wiring the field in all likelihood?
I like the other Cassie, the other one, Strategic Risk.
Really?
He had 2 good races, and then the no excuse, I can't figure it out bad race. I like the 2 good ones more than the 1 bad one. I'm going to go back to the 2 good ones.
You were here for it. Jonathan gave out a horse that's double digits morning line. If there are people who won't believe this, but if you heard it, all right.
Timestamp it.
That's fine. Interested to see what happens, as you say, in that race, and just gathering information as we head towards the Derby, which is now just 2 months away. We've also got a cross-country pick 5. I don't know if there are any Archie-breds for you in there. I said to Jonathan play yesterday to use 4. The last I said there's 4 enough Archie-breds, and apparently, as you said to me today, it wasn't. You've got 3 stakes. I like a horse in the Honeybee. I like Newtown Pike.
I don't remember.
That horse had some trip last time in the Martha Washington. That horse ran super in the Martha Washington last time. I was actually watching the replays for that. And we've also got to the show. 2 to 7 on FS2. what could go wrong? There's only 4 basketball games that could provide an interruption, so I'm sure it'll be smooth sailing for those 5 hours on the show. I like when Eric said in the call something like, yeah, in case we get interrupted. And I said, Eric, we're going to get interrupted. The question is just when. Anyhow, race number 1 here. One thing I don't want in race number 1, and I don't know where you went in here, and we both went against the 6. Big Brooklyn will go back to his race 2 back. There used to be a guy in a message board, I think it was Bold Brooklynite. Some people remember that, or old message board people. I know he ran second 2 back. He's run figures that can win. I've seen enough of him. You, on the other hand, are going to try to get Flying P and Bruce Levine, the homebred.
Yeah, I mean, this was just this really there's 2 angles here. I didn't like the 6. I thought the 4 was a little bit interesting, and I don't usually play the musical jocks game because we've both agreed that it's a game that if you don't know for sure, it could certainly leave you down the wrong path.
Right.
But Ricardo does ride first call for Jay and Flying P.
Yeah.
And the fact that he shows up here on a horse that was 7-1 in a maiden special weight race, who shows up back in for a tag, I just feel like there's an opportunity here with this
It
one.
was a sloppy sealed track. Anything's possible. You know, I'm Bruce Levine's biggest fan, so I suppose it's possible. I saw the 7-1 too. I don't know if the horse can run at all. I agree with you, Charlie Hustle, not totally uninteresting. I just think Gio's to blame. I was looking, I know he's a heavy favorite here for Todd. I was looking up some stats. Todd Pletcher, maiden special to maiden claimers in the dirt in routes at NYRA. Over the last 5 years is 9 for 28 with a 221 ROI. These horses just win. He's been running against horses that are in a completely different galaxy, particularly Renegade. And I just think his horse is probably going to win here at a short price.
These types of races are tough because there's a lot of guessing that goes with them. You know, if anyone tells you they love a horse in here,
No,
I
silly.
think that's
Right.
just guessing. to a
If
certain
you
extent.
love a horse in this race, you better be right. And this is Rick, right? RAP Racing is Rick Pitino, is it not?
I believe it is, yes.
They had quite an easy win yesterday against Villanova. They got crushed by I guess UConn was not happy about losing at home to St. John's.
God, after.
Wow.
Yeah, that was tough.
That had to be like, and they were on a roll, right? Since their tough start, they hadn't lost a game in quite a while, right?
Yeah,
I actually went to a couple of games. I went to the game against Rick's son, Xavier.
Okay.
Great game. It was an
Yeah.
overtime game.
Yeah.
If you didn't know St. John's was a 17-point favorite, you'd have thought the line was like pick 'em because they played tight. It was a really, really. You went to the Duke game. That was that game, right? Duke upset
Michigan.
right?
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
The most expensive college ticket I've ever seen.
Really?
It's insane.
It's a nice arena, right? It's the relative, somewhat. The variety.
It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Where the Wizards play?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it. It's okay.
Tainted by the Wizards' horrible play over.
Probably, yeah.
Once
It's in a
great-
cool location. It's
that
like
once
right
great
downtown.
yeah,
and,
right. Yeah. That once, well, you've probably never been to the Cap Center, right?
No.
I've seen the dead at the Cap Center like 100 times. The Cap Center is the worst place ever to get out of back in the day, and I'm sure anybody who's been there knows that. And I remember once having to work the Monday after a Sunday Night Dead show, and my friends lollygagging out of the place, and it took us like 3 hours to get out of the parking lot and pulling into Brooklyn at like 6 in the morning having to go to work. It was the good
tough.
old days when Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir were still alive. Race number 2. Let's start with Mezza, California. We both have second, who feels like one that'll take a lot of money. You picked against your boy. If Reagan's watching the show, there are going to be some tears.
No, I know.
There's probably already some tears here. I hope Reagan knows that you're on here and picked against him. I tell you something, this horse might win. I don't trust this horse.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. George can win with all kinds, but I do think George excels with horses that have a little bit more speed than Mezza, California has.
Yeah.
Um,
It's interesting, right? He's
and,
a trainer that always
the
has speeds, yeah.
Pace projector feels like he's going to be up against it. That was my biggest concern.
Okay. I mean, listen, claim for 62.5, runs, is running now for 17.5 off the layoff. This horse got a little bit of a stink to her. I mean, she may win. She might have found the right field. You are taking Current Climate for Linda, the number 5, who's also dropping off a cliff. This is another give up by Linda.
She wins with these, though.
She does, but the ROI is not great. That's the problem.
Well, because they're
short prices.
9 to 5.
She's a 30% trainer with these kind of drop downs, these 50% drops, second off the claim. I don't know, man. I will say one thing. This horse saved ground early, which helped. Angled out and had nothing.
Yeah.
Was a little against the track. A little.
Yeah. No, I just think that the aggressive drop, that's why she wins a lot of these types of races. Has been, she likes to fire them in there.
I'm going to bet this horse, California Smoke Show. I have to bet. I'm going to show the race from 2 back where she won, where I thought she ran a race that could make her competitive if you're not as thrilled with the others as I am. And then last time out, I mean, you look at the race she's coming out of, the other speeds finished absolutely nowhere. One of them finished 7th. That horse had run a 64 buyer, came back with a 64 buyer after it, ran a 50 in this race. The 6th place finisher was forward in here. This is the last race. Came back and ran 9 points better. These were considerably better horses. Now they're going back closer to the level. Obviously, that was a non-winners a 2. This is non-winners a 3. But I thought this horse actually didn't run that badly last time. When you consider she came back and ran the same figure, basically, she ran 2 back, and I think she was against the flow of the race. I'll take a shot with her. I thought she was improved. And, with Pat Quick and Omar Hernandez, this horse is not going to take as much money, in my opinion, as he should, especially with the drop downs, the 3 and the 5. So I thought maybe this horse just might have more reliable form.
It's in the first 7 jumps, you'll know if this horse is going to win or not.
Because?
Did they get shuffled back? Did the 4, are they the 4 going to ding dong?
Well, the 4 is supposed to go, right? Isn't it?
Right.
Is he going to?
Brad Cox doesn't rate horses.
The other problem with liking the 1 here, and this is something that comes up in handicapping. It's one thing when you go into a race like this, and lower level races, and there's a big drop down. You say, I want to bet against this big drop down. That's fine. There are 2 big drop downs in here with the 3 and 5. So now I have to get both of those horses not to show up. And that makes it a lot harder for this horse to win, I think.
You know what? I know sounds crazy, but you mentioned claiming. That also happened, and I rewatched this accidentally the other day. That also happened in the Belmont last year, right? Where, you needed for Baeza to win, Journalism and Sovereignty had to not show up.
Right.
When you have to beat 2 horses that are better than you, that's very tough.
I agree. It just changes. It's math. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just sort of math. You make it hard. It's one thing to take a chance against 1 horse and hope today is the day. Yeah.
Were you shocked about Baeza going to Belmont?
I wasn't, because I asked Chad who he thought he was going to go to, and he said to me either Cherie, which was kind of an obvious choice with David and Gordo obviously having an involvement with that horse, or Mott. And Chad seemed to have and this was right after I said to him, I wonder what's going to happen to Baeza. And he said, I have to have a feeling that Mott's going to get him. And this was and I don't know, I don't think he had any inside information. Other than that, if he hadn't said it to me, I'd have been shocked. I was just surprised, not because it's not surprising he don't give Bill Mott, but he has Sovereignty and he's also got Knightsbridge. So yeah, I was a little surprised. I'm going to tell you something. I know everybody is conceding that Sovereignty is going to be the horse this year. I think that Journalism and Baeza both have a chance to be the kind of horses that can step forward and potentially challenge him this year. Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to have to improve and hope he hasn't improved a lot, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possible that it's more competitive up top than it looks. We'll see. Magnitude winning yesterday, I'm skeptical they're going to Dubai. I don't see how anybody right now, given the world situation, I'm not getting into politics, it's a fact, anybody's thinking, I'm going to be running in Dubai in 4 weeks. I just don't see how you think that.
Yeah.
And I think in racing, uncertainty makes you take the safer route, So I wonder if they're going to think, you know what, let's just point towards the Oaklawn handicap. My guess is they'll go there, because I would imagine that Sovereignty is going to go to the Ali Sheba. I know they mentioned Oaklawn. I have to think they're going to go to the Ali Sheba, Foster, Whitney, Jockey Club sort of route with him.
Yeah.
Hoping everybody obviously stays sound, and I think there's a chance that it's an extremely exciting year for the older horses. We come off a great year for it. I mean, you think about how much time we all spent arguing about last year, whether you and I were fighting over fierceness, and the Sierra Leone argument. That's good stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the year before, there was absolutely nothing to argue about, a bunch of horses that we didn't really care that much about, except for the 3-year-olds, the older horses. It's good to have those arguments. It means
100%.
the racing is fun.
Yep.
Race number 3. So you're on the Flying P bandwagon in race up. You've got him in the first, but I don't know what to do with the 5. We'll show my man Matty winning by a nose. I think you liked him to stay. I think I didn't. He is the speed, but man, is he a tough horse to trust, and you clearly don't trust him.
Yeah, he looks loose in here.
He's fast.
Yeah,
If he shows up.
I mean, he showed so much speed last time and just stopped. Maybe it was the muddy racetrack.
$11,000 claiming race at Finger Lakes doesn't give you a lot of confidence, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he certainly can win, but they're gonna. I thought he was gonna be a little bit short. I looked at this race before the morning line. I thought he was gonna be a little shorter than this.
He's just a tough horse to trust. Who did you take in here? You took Emerald Forest, right?
Yeah, the 4. Yeah, I think that I think Emerald Forest, because I don't think the pace is gonna. It's not supposed to be that quick. I think the 4 will end up in a great spot because the 5's got one. If the 5 wins, he's gonna wire the field.
Got one way to go.
And so I believe the 4 will inherit that trip. I wish the 4 was drawn outside, but the 5 should go enough where the 4 can be able to just kind of move over one path and end up in that stop.
And he did. He was 2 to 3 wide, chasing against the Gold Rail last time. I think he's the perfectly logical horse out of the race. But for me, I think Can You Hear Me Run is the one that I want. He broke from a far outside post in that race. He did stumble. He came in and he sort of came in at the start. And he was 4 to 5 wide the whole way, and I don't think he ran that badly given the bias and given the start. And if we have a track that's similar to yesterday, which I thought was very, very fair yesterday, I think speed did okay, but the track was fair. I'm going to give Can You Hear Me Running another chance because this is a horse. He's handled moisture in the track. There is some moisture. He ran there, and I thought his last race way against the track. And I think my man Raylu has been riding very well when he's had the opportunities to be live. The horse that I think is kind of interesting is the horse you have second, and I probably should have had him a little bit higher, at least 4th in the year, and that's Prince of Truth. We'll show his last race because I know, he was 100 to 1 last time, but he chased against the Gold Rail, and the winner was down on the inside, the place you wanted to be, and he was against the track. He ran well last time, this horse.
Yeah, I just think that to your point, I mean, being wide last time definitely didn't help. He also exits that fast race that you were talking about with the 3 where Dots Dollar won.
Got eliminated in that race.
Yeah, very fast race, had no chance in there. I just think his form's a little bit dirty. I'm not cutting in line to bet the horse to win, but putting him second was just, I think he's a value adder to multi-race bets.
There are also connections that aren't going to take the money they should. David's got the horse 5 to 1. I think David would say to you, he's supposed to be 5 to 1 in here. But you never know. Sometimes these horses get a little bit lost in here, and I don't disagree with you. I think he's dangerous as well. His last race, if he runs, you take him on his last race, he's a huge player in this race. Yep. If you feel he's going to run that last race, there's an argument he's maybe the horse to beat in here. We'll see what happens. Race number 4, I want to show Noguchi. I've kind of had enough of Noguchi. You clearly have had more than enough of Noguchi. You've completely left him out. I mean, was down on the inside where you wanted to be last time. I kind of wonder why. Linus probably keeps running this horse a mile because these are the races that come up for him. I wonder if he'd be better going shorter, or maybe he's just a horse that just has never been very good.
Shortest price of his career, at the bottom level of his career, easy trip, still couldn't win.
Yeah. I agree. I've had enough of him whatsoever. You and I like the same. This is one race where you and I agree. We both like projectability, and I think I want to show the start of projectability's last race. Thorsness is in there as well, and he did hop up at the start. He did have a little bit, but projectability, I mean, you're going to see he's going to get just completely eliminated from the race, and we'll show you the head-on and show you what happened. And I know, this was also a time of the Gold Rail. He's 2 to 3 wide. He ends up going wider there. I mean, he gets totally pinballed around. I actually think he ran incredibly well last time, given the trip. And we'll pick it up at the 3/8 bowl. This horse makes a long, extended run, wide in here, way against the track. He's supposed to win here.
Yeah, if he runs back to this, I think he'll be tough. In his previous 2 races, sometimes I'll have these big jump-up races, and it's like, do I believe it? His 2 prior races weren't that bad.
That bad. I thought he ran very well first time. He didn't run great the next time.
No.
The Romeo Void race, but his race first time was good, and, I don't know what price he's going to be. And listen, he's not the only one. Lucky Dragon, I thought, had a little bit of a trip in there. Thorsness was towards the inside, so I kind of downgraded him a bit. Ionet was down on the inside, so I downgraded him. But to me, this is a horse projectability. I know these are lower level horse, not that reliable. I don't think he's going to be 4 to 1. I think he's going to buy for favoritism. I think he should.
Yeah, because I don't need the 3, like I mentioned.
Yep.
And the 2, Thorsness, You know, when when Todd's got one who's been running for 20, what, 4 times in a row, single-digit odds, and can't get second, it's a hard one to lean on.
I forgot to write down the pace projector for some reason. Here.
That's right here. The 3's on the lead, 3.259.
That's what I figured. I'll write it down when I get to my office. Anyway, we're done for the first half. Back with the late pick 4.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses, Jonathan and Andy. So I was interested in your picks here because we're going to start by showing Will of a Woman, who finished 3rd last time. I think I'm showing the last race. I thought this horse was much the worst to beat. I know the horse failed last time. I thought in this field, though, Will of a Woman coming off the claim for Linda. You obviously you're scared of this horse, huh? I like the cutback with this horse. I thought a mile was too far last time.
Yeah, I just, you know, it's mine. You know, it's maidens. Who I'm okay with a maiden taking some time to get their maiden broken if their price is matching their performance. When you're odds on and you get beat, it really gives me a bad taste, and I think there's an opportunity to try to. I mean, they're going to bet this horse too off of that.
She's going to be very short in here.
Yeah, so I wanted to try to beat her in here.
And you've gone to the horses, the 2nd and 3rd choices.
Yeah, I thought that the 4 ran pretty well last time, actually. You know, I mean, didn't break all that cleanly. It was a 2nd start on the dirt. I just felt like that one was the up-and-comer, one that would probably be a little bit ignored in terms of the other, you know, for them the top choices. Pace figures were fine enough in the last 2 starts.
I think this horse could find itself on the front end.
Yeah,
I think she's she's absolutely the logical horse if you're trying to beat the 10. I don't have a problem with her. I'm going to bet a horse in here that I'm fully aware is probably going to run 9th, and that's fine. I bet horses I like that run 9th, so I don't really care about that. I have a question for you. What the hell would they even ship this horse up here for? Why even waste your time shipping this horse up here? Debuted, took no money, did no running. Then they send the horse down to Florida. They run in synthetic. Horse does not run a step in a maiden 12.5. Why even bother? Why not ship the horse over to Tampa to run in one of those bottom-level claiming races if you can't find a bottom-level dirt race down at Gulfstream? Why even bother? And it's not like Mel Giddings hasn't had a couple of putovers in her day. You know, we see him more in Saratoga, but and I know that's not a criticism. That's a compliment, by the way, before somebody gets annoyed. I believe people, I think the racing is filled with people who try to put over horses, and for the most part, they fail. Mm-hmm. She succeeds. And I just thought this horse had the look of a horse like, what the hell is she doing here?
Well, the one thing I would say if she ran better is that this is shopping, right? They bring her up here to because she's New York bred, so you know if you're going to get her claimed, but who's
why
going to claim
have sent her
this
down
horse?
there in the first place?
Yeah, who's going to claim her off of that?
Yeah, the whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me. She ran for 12.5 last time. I don't know. She's the workouts. I mean, I don't put much stock in works and the times of works, but they seem pretty good. And I just thought this horse has a bit of a look in a race where, I mean, let's be honest. Don't you want anybody with a little bit of a look?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like this is the kind of horse I'm going to bet, and the horse is going to run badly, and I'll be like, oh, I had an idea and it was bad, but I'm going to take a little bit of a shot with this horse. This is my shot horse of the week. Race number 6. So in race number 6, now Ricardo Santana inherits a problem that Ruben Silveira struggled with. Sahin Savachi struggled with, and we'll take a look at Turn Count's last race. Turn and Count is the worst lug-in horse. I think as David said to me, is like the worst lug-in horse in New York. And I bet the winner of this race, and so I benefited from this horse lugging in. Now, the winner ran a better race anyway because this was wide the whole way. But, I mean, maybe cutting back to a mile. Maybe Ricardo will be strong enough with this horse. But I got to tell you, this is the kind of horse that makes riders look bad.
Yeah, I mean, have to come dancing.
Is he?
Yeah. I don't know, the blinkers. I
Tom's gonna
don't.
try anything he can with this guy.
Yeah, I don't feel like blinkers is the answer for a lug-in horse.
Probably
but
a bit. He's just. I mean, I don't know if
I
there's
mean,
anything
you gotta
anybody
try
can
whatever.
do.
Yeah, you gotta try something. Yeah. I mean, he'll probably win today.
I like the cutback for him. I'll be honest with you. I struggled a great deal with this race, and I don't disagree with you about Carvelian Quest. I thought the horse ran well last time, was not right on the rail, was a little bit off the rail. We can watch the race. I thought he ran well last time. My worry with him is, they claimed him for 20. They got the horse to run well last time. I wonder if he's really this good.
I think his last 2 races are his best 2 races in the last
By far.
15 or so.
Ever.
For 2 different trainers.
Ever.
I just think the horse is in great form. I love the speed from the inside. I would assume Manny.
Gotta go.
He was
He's
aggressive
on a rail,
yesterday
he's
a
gotta
few
go.
times. I mean, he won some races on his aggression. With Donegal Surges
He's
yesterday.
riding great, man. He's
Or
riding
was that
great.
Surges or Momentum? Donegal.
Surges. That was a great ride by him. Yeah, that was a great. You're right.
Sensational.
That was a great. There was a horse. You had the right concern with him. You're taking a horse at a short price that comes from the back of the pack. Manny set him to lead. That was
Problem solved.
That was a great ride, right? Probably his best. Those are the kind of rides that don't get noticed because the horse is 7-5, and people go, "Oh, you wanted a 7-5 shot? Who cares?"
Yeah.
But that horse won because of the way Manny rode that horse. I agree. I struggle with him a little bit. I kind of wanted to take a shot with House United in here because he's been a bit against the tracks at times. He's had some excuses in races. My problem with him is he is a hanger. Now you could say, well, so is Turn and Count, and he's 5-2 morning line. This guy's 8-1. Turn and Count is better than he is, though. That was my feeling.
Yeah.
You don't like this horse at all.
No, I mean, he ran fine last time. Didn't get a great trip either. No, I don't. If we were playing a group pick 5 or something, you're like, hey, I want to use a 5, I wouldn't fight you on it.
I could use a lot of horses in this race.
Yeah.
I honestly could. I can use Oil Capital because, Linda's got good numbers coming off of maiden wins. You've got Whiskey and Soda second. I wonder if he's a little cheaper than these horses. That's my concern.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just
trips.
felt like he was going to drift up too price-wise. The trainer change,
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to current trainer. I don't like horses claimed for Michelle Nevin. I'm loyal to Michelle.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I don't know. I thought this was a very hard race. I mean, Sergeant Caps, isn't he kind of in an outside chasing position with Carvelian Quest? And I thought between the two of them, Carvelian Quest is a better horse.
I completely agree, and I think he's got, I typically like being drawn outside, but I just don't think he's as good as the one. I think he's going to kind of, if the pace, if the one sends away from there as an aggressive, I just think it's going to be too quick for the 9 to hold off others.
Right. I'd prefer to bet the 1 from the 9 post with this horse, the 1 post, but I agree with you. I think the 9 has a real rival with the 1 who's just a better speed horse. Race number 7. This race was changed a little bit by the scratches, in case you didn't notice. I tried to beat Lucille Ball last time. I did, and then I lost by a nose to Just Catherine, who's one of my old favorites, though. Stonewall Stall, 7-1 or not, had no excuse whatsoever. Lucille Ball, who we'll watch here winning 2 back, and she benefited from a bias here. So she's not a 103 buyer horse, but she might be a 90 buyer horse. She got completely and totally eliminated at the start last time. With the scratches now, I mean, the pace projector's wrong in this race. I mean, first of all, even with the scratches now, the pace horse is in front. Even the pace projector, unfortunately, takes into account too much the last race. And the last race is not an accurate depiction of this horse's ability. I think she's going to wire the field. You took the other one with the Angels.
Yeah, I mean, I was picking with the Angels in full disclosure before the 1 was scratched. I don't know how that changed what you were doing.
No, I was taking Lucille Ball anyway. I'll be honest, we'll show with the Angels race, and I'm sure David would love to have a chance to redo this morning line. I don't know that he would make with the Angels favorite or not, but I'm sure he would say, well, with the scratches, obviously, Lucille Ball potentially be loose. Now, I don't know if that compromises with the Angels. I didn't tell you something about with the Angels. She's good. I'm still not convinced she's that good. It's her last race.
I think we'll know today. I think that Manny's job in this race is significantly harder than Jose Lezcano's job because Manny's going to be on the front and Jose Lezcano is going to be able to make all of his decisions based off of that. And I do think that With the Angels has a significantly better draw considering the circumstances of this race.
Well, the Angels isn't compromised by the lack of speed.
No,
unless you think it just severely helps Lucille Ball, because she can put herself in position to win whatever she has to do.
Yeah, With the Angels has speed. She wasn't as fast as Lucille Ball, but she can stay connected.
She's fast early.
Yeah, she can
No,
stay
I
connected.
agree. Listen, she has an amazing career, 6 out of 8 with 2 seconds, and maybe she'll be favored. I'm very curious to see what we get from Lucille Ball, because I don't think we yet know who she is, because she's not the 103 buyer horse, but she's also not the horse that ran last time. Sunday Girl, she just doesn't really have her mojo anymore, right? I mean, I always kind of liked this horse. She got really good for Dave, and I always respect Dave's horses. She just kind of lost that mojo, right?
Yeah, I mean, the 4 and the 7 would have to just really ding dong.
I almost texted Cherie. I'm curious to what she did with My Little Punky shipping here, because this horse's dirt races are terrible, and I'm kind of wondering, maybe the horse has worked well in the dirt for her or something, and she wants to give the horse a chance in the dirt. She might just not have any conditions left, and she sort of has to run a race like this, because on paper, this horse is way overmatched, and I'm sure Cherie is not unaware of that. She's not stupid.
Her maiden race at Keeneland wasn't bad as a 2-year-old.
No. But she's not in the galaxy of these horses at any
No,
point.
no, not even. But that was, that was when she was 2.
Yeah.
I've seen crazier. I don't need her, but I've seen.
It has a look of, let me find out if this horse is good enough to run in the dirt. So you're against Lucille Ball here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Slight differing opinion. We do end up on the same horse in the last race, where, I do want to start out the last race by showing Boiling Point's debut, where she finished second, because I think it's important to note this is going to be Larry Siaka's last starter. And she was supposed to run last Sunday, and we canceled. And, we've all known Gary for years, and Gary's always good fun. Gary's one guy you can kid around with and give him a hard time, and he never takes it personally, and he'll give you a hard time, and he's fun to joke with. And, Gary's won over 1,000 races, almost all of them in New York. And, and I say he's retiring. Somebody says, oh, he's a low percentage trainer. Yes, he has a barn that Charlie Whittingham would have wanted a low percentage with. And, Gary had subordination for Seth years ago, who was a multiple Grade 1 winner on both surfaces. Dr. Kiernan was always one of my favorite horses, of course, the first New York bred champion, Saratoga Dew. And it's the end of an era. And I know that people would look and say, oh, Gary hasn't had many horses. He's got a lot of bad horses in his barn. They look a little like Boiling Point. But this is Gary's last starter, and we want to wish Gary the best. So, and I'm going to have this horse on my tickets, because I'm not going to let Gary's send-off horse win. And I know it was a sloppy track. But this horse's first race would probably win here.
Yeah. I just don't know why the other 3 have been bad.
His last race was terrible. I agree.
Yeah.
But, Gary, we wish you luck in leaving racing, and he's had a great career, and I don't think that should be forgotten. And, it's a tough game, and the game has changed, and I think Gary's last good horse was Saratoga Snacks, who he did a great job with. The horse had been taken away from him, and he did no good when he went to Bill, and he went back to Gary, I think, and he did well for him again. Anyway, having said all that, I like Queen Sally, too. I'll let you talk about her.
Yeah, the only issue is with Queen Sally, I guess for me, is that, the first part of that race, she was in a good spot. And that's a little disappointing, the way she ran. But I just think on the drop, she took some money last time. Her 2 figures, I think, put her right in the mix with these. And it's hard to fall in love with a horse in this one.
I agree. I mean, I thought that she kind of came out in the stretch and it mitigated her running, but she wasn't way against the track last time. I don't disagree. I thought her race 2 back against Galinda would win this race. They're dropping down, and I'd rather bet on her than the 8 Island Charm, because I agree that Island Charm is probably the horse to beat. I mean, you and I saw this race extremely similarly, to say the least. But I guess with Island Charm, I'm just beginning to wonder if she wants to go this far. Now, maybe in this field, she'll be fine at a mile, but she rode the Gold Rail last time and got just blown off the racetrack. And I think her performances are a little bit dressed up, and I think that these 5 just might be a better horse.
Last 2 starts under 3-1 and gets beat. Now, she's going to be very short in here. I think she'll be much shorter in here because she's, facing easier, but she could win. but it doesn't. You got to try to beat a horse.
I'll tell you who will not win this race at a big price without my money is the horse we both have third, Hip Hop Dancer. She was completely and totally against the track last time, and her race 2 back is close enough to say she can win here.
Yeah, I thought she was one that you would definitely wanted to use to run second or third. I mean, she could win. There's no killers in here.
Right.
She could certainly win.
She's a lot better than horses that are shorter prices than
Yeah,
she is on the
yeah.
board. But anyway, Gary, we wish you the best. Boiling Point will be the end of an era, as Gary Siaka, who is very popular around the racetrack. And I'll say something else about Gary. When the racing office needed a horse for a race, if Gary had one, Gary was always helpful in helping the racetrack. And I think that's something that should not be forgotten. Anyhow, Gary Siaka will be retiring after today's 8th race. Jonathan, thank you. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposit. We have if you hit 3 out of 4, get the information on the site. And this whole thing, if you put over $10 in the late pick 4, reason to play it, throw in Boiling Point for Gary. And what else do we have? 10 times loyalty points at Oaklawn. Opt in for that if you get loyalty points. Cross country pick 5, 3 stakes in that sequence. 3 at Oaklawn, 2 here. 2 to 7 on FS2 today, which will include the Rebel and the Honeybee. I think you and I should have gotten in a horse suit and taken a shot to get a piece of the $750,000 purse in the Honeybee. That'll be later today on FS2. Thanks again. Chris Griffin's up next. The reprise, the scratch and changes. Have a great day.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus.